Yo,
Hey,
welcome, Crown Council Live. We're grateful to have you. It is September 12th. I'm Stuart Anderson, joined by Greg Anderson. Hey, everybody. We are grateful to join you on this weekly live broadcast, which is very fun, very exciting to connect with all of our Crown Council members, the community. We have some great guests today, both recorded and live. And we're talking about a few just awesome practices from team members and a former Young Dentist of the Year, which we're going to talk to Kelly Dove. She's going to join us live here. She's going to be our first guest. I know Greg and I have some housekeeping items that we are going to save till the end. But Gregor, anything that we need to review, Smiles for Life, checks, do you want to talk about that for just 1 second
oh
as
yeah,
we wait
yeah.
for Kelly? Okay.
They have all been mailed. I mean, they should all have arrived. So if you are a Smiles for Life participating practice and you are making a donation to a local charity, those checks have all been mailed, should be in your possession. If they are not, we need to hear from you. And hey, Stu, we have hundreds of boxes out in our hallway going out today to everyone signed up to come to the annual event.
I have
And
seen
in
that.
them is a special surprise. Do we want to
Yes.
tell them the special surprise?
Uh, yeah. So every September, if you're signed up for the annual event, we call it what we're the September mailer. Sometimes it's been chips and salsa. Sometimes it's been socks. Sometimes it's been a plant, seeds. I mean, you name it. It's kind of our way of saying to you,
Here it comes.
we are planning the annual event. We're 180, 160 days away. You are signed up, and we cannot wait to be with you. And so, the box is going out right now to all of the practices who are signed up for the annual event that are confirmed. They're paying. They have their hotel. They have their reservations. And we are kind of announcing, I guess, is that a good way to put it?
Announcing is
Announcing
good. Announcing is good.
the fun night where we have this tradition where teams can dress up and arrive at the Friday night activity in uniform,
In costume.
in costume. So I don't think we spoil it. I think you have got to receive the
You're going to
package to
wait.
see
And we
how.
want pictures after it
Yes.
arrives.
So very, very fun, very cool, very different when it comes to the box and what you're going to be getting. But we are excited to be planning the annual event. We are in full swing when it comes to planning, preparing, and encouraging Crown Council members to sign up. The hotel is very close to being full, and the meeting itself will sell out. So I've had a few questions this week. When is the last day to sign up? And I'm like, I don't know. It could be
Last day to sign up is the day before the last guy signs up.
exactly. So, we are here to answer any questions about schedule, agenda, cost, hotel, attending with your team. But we encourage every Crown Council office to attend. This is where we gather. This is where our community comes together once a year. The speakers, obviously, the presentations are going to be incredible. They always are. But more importantly, uh, connecting with your community and being with the Crown Council membership is really where the annual event shines. So,
Hey, and if you haven't signed up, the moment you sign up, we will send you this box with the surprise in it.
cool. Um, okay, Kelly's not here. I am going to text her real quick to me. I know she's our first guest, so let me make sure that she remembers she's coming on. Uh,
Probably with a patient. I'm sure she's
yeah.
coming.
I am gonna play. Okay, so I do have a recorded segment that we can go to with one of our. No Kelly yet. Okay. So we have a team member that I interviewed yesterday. Really fun to connect with her. She's in one of the practices that the TOPS teams works with and the TOPS coaches. So it's kind of our coaches corner. But it's just me and the team member talking and sharing a little bit about what's going on in the practice and specifically what Pam does. So it's a 10-minute segment. I'm going to share it now and hopefully we'll wait for Kelly to join us. And if Kelly jumps in, maybe I'll stop this or we'll see how far we get. Okay. So here's you see my screen, Gregor?
Got it. You bet.
Okay. And I think I've shared the sound properly. So here we go. All right. Hey, everybody. Stuart with Crown Council Live. I'm grateful to have you joining us and grateful for our never been on the show before. Grateful for Gene to be with us. Chris Taconis is in their office today, kind of training. So our normal segment, the Tops Coaches Corner, does actually not include a Tops coach, but it's okay. We're going to talk and say nice things about Chris and do everything to highlight what she is doing in the practice. So, welcome, Jean from Oak Park Dental. Grateful to have you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
And we were just discussing. I think Chris put you up to this, and then Jean said she's the exact phrase, almost like she'd practice. Happy to do it.
Happy to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Very cool. Hey, for people that don't know, we were just discussing, will you talk about, so Chris is a practice coach. She comes into your practice quarterly, and she is there working with your team today. Can you talk a little bit about what she's working on, what you guys are doing, and how that looks when a TOPS practice coach is in your office?
Well, it's a very exciting 2 days for us. So we have a first day where Chris comes in and she does some observing well, first she always gets to speak with all of our team members and everybody gets all pumped up to see Chris. She's like the highlight of our 4 times a year. But then she does some observing. We always leave a meeting, the prior meeting, learning new stuff. When I say stuff, I mean TOPS verbiage, just ways of putting policies into places that work really well with our office. So what Chris does is then when she comes back, she sees how we're doing. She does a little bit of listening. She does a little bit of coaching. And then tomorrow when we meet, it's an all-day great thing of bringing new stuff in to kind of tweak or to say what works and doesn't work with our office, what we learned the last time she was here. And it's just a great team building, team bonding time, as well as just a lot of knowledge that we get in that amount of time with Chris.
Very cool. And year after year, so we've done the live stream for almost 3 years. The one thing that the best dental teams always say is that they have a great coach. They have somebody on the outside that comes in who is willing to teach, to lead, to train, to be honest, to keep the team accountable. And I know that there's no better person than Chris to do that. So cool that you guys, and I love that you said, my highlight is being with Chris too. I love being with Chris too. So
Yes, yeah.
very cool. Hey, will you introduce your practice real quick, what you do, where you guys are, and just for the Crown Council that doesn't know you, we talk about that for just a minute.
Sure.
Okay.
My name is Jean. I'm the office manager for Oak Park Dental. We are located in Madison, Wisconsin. Right now, we are an all-women's office, which is not by design, but just how it is right now. Our doctor, Dr. Jana Jarina, I can't say enough good things about her. We do a lot of our Invisalign. She's an Invisalign queen. We are a Platinum Plus provider, and we are not an orthodontia office. So that is somewhat unheard of. But that is exactly Dr. Jana. So we do a lot of cosmetic work here, and we have some amazing results with that. Our patients, we just did a photo shoot with some of our amazing patients, and it amazes me every day just to see that work. So we're a small office. We have about 13 people in our office. We are truly a family.
Very cool. And your practice has been a member of Crown Council since 2011, which is crazy. I mean, sometimes I'll write these handwritten birthday notes to people, to the doctors, and I'll be like, so grateful that you've been a member. And I'm like, 2011, that's like 15. I mean, so many years, year after year, that we're so grateful for the community and the leadership, and especially the doctors who continue to be part of everything that we do. So really fun to connect with you guys. I know that Chris told me that she didn't want to take out of the training, so it's fun that we can connect just a little bit. So anyway, very cool about Invisalign. Awesome. Can you talk, so in your role, and you get to see the practice, the patients at a different perspective. Can you talk about first, what you feel makes your practice different? And then two, I guess that's a piggyback question, is why do patients choose you guys?
You know, it was interesting to think about that when you ask those questions. I always go back to it because I've been asked this question before. What makes us different? What makes you want to come here? And this is not a script. This is honest gosh, is it's really our verbiage that we have learned from TOPS and the things that we are able to implement in our office. We connect with our patients in a way I don't think they've ever been connected with. And they so appreciate that. And they recognize it. They love being heard. They love being understood. They love knowing, we love getting their M&M and being able to see those that excitement at the end of it all when we've reached that for them, and then be able to go back and revisit it years later and see how much their M&M has changed.
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes us different. Why patients choose us is for that exact same reason. We treat our patients like family. Come in, we know them by name. We know their history, their families, and a lot of that again comes from working with TOPS, learning the DISC. I'm maybe speaking language that people don't exactly know, but we learn our patients' personalities and what really works with them, and we help educate them and make them feel safe. All the things that TOPS does for us.
I love that. And you said earlier that it's not by design that you're all women in the practice, but what it is by design. Me and Steve, you can often hear Steve say this, is that culture is either created by design or it's created by default. And the amount of work that you guys put into creating your culture by design, it's special. I mean, it doesn't just happen like, oh yeah, no, we treat people nice. No, you guys are like practicing and you're working on it. And that is what makes you special. Very cool. Nice. When you look at your role as office manager, if you're speaking to other office managers or other team members in the same role, what do you feel is the most important thing that you do as a team member? How do you make a difference in your practice?
I think part of what makes what I do differently, it comes from the practice. It comes from the transparency in our culture guide that we have. So what I can offer as a team member is all those things. I believe that my job is to make sure you have all the tools you need to be successful here. I believe that for every one of our team members. The transparency, the listening, I'm kind of losing track of my question there again. So when you just talk about what I offer the team, that is it.
Yeah.
The leadership, guiding, being able to listen, being able to have our team members feel heard, and then really try to implement the things that they want, and we give it a whirl. We're not, it's nice to not have that fear of like trusting each other in a way that we can just try things.
I love that. And one thing that you said that was interesting is that we don't hear often is you guys have a culture guide. It's one thing that we hope every Crown Council member has, but can you talk about, just explain what that is real quick and what it does for your practice?
So we hold each other very accountable to this culture guide. So what that means is we've come up with the things that we need and want for our culture in our office. And we hold each other to that, and there's I don't know. I don't want to say that it's pretty standard because it's not that. It's really individual to your office of what you need and what makes your team happy. And so we love that. We love to revisit it. We probably revisit it 2 to 3 times a year.
Nice.
Always making sure it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one, or yeah, we could do that a little different. But it's a great guideline for everybody, and we love to fall back on it. We use it all the time.
Good. Yeah, smart. And great that you review it. Sometimes those get created and then just kind of lost in the background. So very cool. Through your years, through the opportunity that you've had to be a team member and to watch your team and other doctors, if you had a few minutes to give advice to other team members or even to other doctors, things that you see your doctor do, what advice would you give to team members to make a practice great, a patient experience great, or even to help? Sometimes doctors need some advice from team members. What kind of advice would you give?
The one I've been in dentistry for, I don't want to age myself, but I've been in dentistry for a while. So one of the things that I have found with Dr. Jana is she invests. She invests in her team. She invests in her patient. She invests in her office. So my thing, and that I've really learned from her, what that investment brings back to you. Like she invests, she wants you to have the knowledge. She wants you to have the tools to be successful. She wants to set you up for success, and I want to say that's new to me. I mean, not that other offices haven't done it, but it's just really emphasized here. And it makes you feel so special. Makes you want to give everything you have because you have somebody believing in you. You have your own cheerleader that's there on the sidelines, you know, bringing you to cross that finish line. So that's what I would recommend. I think it's great.
The best advice. I love that. And we often say, I mean, you can't just work in the practice, you have to work on the practice. And that does take time and money to create the team and the environment and the culture. So great advice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything I missed? Anything that you want to share or talk to Crown Council about before we depart?
You know, if I can put a plug in, I have to say my first leadership conference that I went to, I'd been here less than a year. And I say this all the time. It did change my life. It changed my attitude, I can't even put it into words. I can't speak enough about TOPS. And again, this is not a plug, but it really truly did. When you become fully immersed, and I know there's a whole conference on that as well, but I lived and breathed TOPS for 2 days. I saw how it worked. I saw the success. It made me so excited to bring that back. And I think my excitement was able to really pump up our team. And then having Chris as a coach, you know, we are so very blessed.
Nice. You're going to make the other coaches jealous. That was really good. Sorry.
Not my intent. They're all great.
Jean, thank you. Thank your team. Crown Council doesn't exist without each awesome team being leaders and examples in their own market. So grateful for you, and thank you for the example that you show to the rest of the Crown Council. So thanks.
Happy to do it, Stuart. You have a great day.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
So good. What a great,
awesome.
Great team member, and unpaid solicitation for her coach. But at the same time, I mean, time and time again, Gregor, if we can say it, the teams that are the best are the teams that have coaches, the teams that have an outside perspective that come in, keep them accountable, and train skills. And the doctor doesn't have to worry so much about babysitting and training and coaching. And there's an outside force that comes in and helps with that. So really cool to hear from Jean. Very good. All right. Awesome. I'm going to ask DJ to bring in Kelly. I know that Dr. Dove has been kind of waiting here for one sec. She just kind of got held up. So let's bring her in. Grateful that Kelly will be joining us. I want to, before she starts saying, I'm going to share my screen. Hi, Kelly. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello.
How are you? So in preparation for you, Kelly, I don't know if you remember this, but this was 2001. It was like 3 years ago that we did this. What did I say? Oh, 2021.
Don't date the woman.
So 2021, we did this awesome episode for a leadership series that we did about building a new practice or joining a practice, or, you know, joining your father in a practice. And we talked for about 40 minutes about building a new practice. I don't know. Do you remember listening to it? Do you remember? Here it is on the Crown Council.
Yeah, a little bit. I do, and actually, one of my team members listened to it, and so I was thinking, "Oh no, did I do everything good?" And it was great. I really enjoyed, and then I feel like, yes, you have to make sure that that the team is going to listen, and they're proud of you when you speak on these things. So it's wonderful.
It's so good. Yes. So it's in the Mentor of the Month library. This is episode 99. And such a great episode we did here. This was the 9th in the 12-part series. And Dr. Dove, one thing that I saw was we posted here 502 Google reviews with a 5-star rating. I said, oh, that's pretty cool. Well, I jumped over. It's now at 1,100 Google reviews for your practice. Did you know it was that many? I mean, is that something that you guys are like, oh yeah, we know. I know how many there are.
We know. It's intentional. Yes. It's intentional, but it's part of our culture and our practice. We're very proud of it. So yes, it's a group effort.
Why don't we just start there? Okay. So
and actually I have to brag there a little bit too. The second practice is just got over 1,000, and our pediatric practice, I'm pretty sure, is well over 500. So we've got something good going.
God, good for you guys.
Yeah, I would love to hear. Let's just do it now. How is if it's intentional, What do you guys do? How do you train to make this intentional?
Yeah, so several things. One, I would say part of our culture in the office is to grow people and create positive moments. And I think that creating those positive moments helps translate to some of the Google reviews. And then it's amazing how simple just asking. If you ask, a lot of times you receive. And so that's intentional. And we do send out the links like so many people do, but we find if you ask them, hey, would you mind doing this for me? And you get that answer, yes, they're so much more likely to do it than just sending the link. So
and hoping.
Yes, and hoping, yes.
Yeah.
So it is intentional. But I also hope that it ties to our customer service and our values too. So yes.
Very cool. Nice. If you didn't know, Dr. Dove was one of our Young Dentists of the Year. So that award was presented to you at the annual event. Very fun. We were trying to find out what year it was, and I don't remember now. It was probably 3 or 4 years ago. But what a fun thing to have you on the stage with Dr. Hornbrook and part of the Young Dentist program. As we start, can you kind of talk about your biggest influences that led you to your career in dentistry and maybe mentors, how your whole career started? Can you talk about that first?
Absolutely. And I think thank you for the opportunity, because it gives me an opportunity to thank my parents, because I think that a lot of the biggest influences come from them, and they often don't get that appreciation. So I would say it was kind of a funny story. The way that came about was my dad is a retired veterinarian and my mom's a retired nurse. So it kind of seemed natural that I would become some sort of medical field position and everything. And when I was real young, my dad would have me, he trained me as a surgery tech. So I could help him deliver puppies. I could do the works. I could flip the rooms and everything. And so he let me do the dog prophies. So
Nice.
I was a doggy dental hygienist
Oh my
at
goodness.
a very young age.
That is awesome.
And it was great. And I really enjoyed it. So I knew I wanted to be a physician at some point. And I went and I shadowed, and I went to the hospital halls, and those long gray halls. I walked them one day and I thought, this sucks the life out of me. I've got to do something different. So you kind of think of like choosing a career as climbing a mountain, right? You're going to go and climb a mountain. You just have to make sure you climb the right mountain, so you don't get to the top of the mountain and realize you climbed the mountain for someone else. So I love that analogy. So when I realized I was in the hospital, I thought, I don't want to do these gray long halls. And so I went back to my dad. I said, I think I want to be a dentist. And then that where the other mentor came in, is I played golf with a good friend of mine and his boys. And he was my family dentist. And so I have to contribute to my parents, and then also to Dr. Hillis, because he was a wonderful mentor and let me hang out in his office as much as I wanted. And it was great. So I appreciate him very much.
Very cool. When you look back over your career and then where you are now, one thing that I think is fun to analyze is your own personal philosophy of what matter, like what's the philosophy of care for your patients, and how have you developed it? So when it comes time for your own personal checkup, what do you feel is the most important things when it comes to how you care for patients? And maybe a second question is, how have you developed that over the years?
Absolutely. I have a bread and butter Midwest Missouri practice, right? And we have 2 general practices and then 1 pediatric practice. And we're starting next week on the fourth practice and the second pediatric practice. So that's kind of cool. So my job and responsibilities have shifted over the years from primary clinical care, 4 days a week, 8 to 5, that type of scenario, to more administrative and a little bit less clinical. But at the end of the day, I still really enjoy bread and butter dentistry. I really like implants and a lot of surgeries. And I think that follows kind of what I saw my dad doing, was a lot of surgeries and then chairside with clients and their pets. So, as far as clinical care and culture, I really enjoy sitting side by side with patients and hearing from them what they want. Because I feel like people at the end of the day are going to buy what they want to buy. And I have a service, and so I can educate them on what I can do or what I see, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's their decision what they want to do. And I also feel like when you're talking to younger dentists is you get yourself in a lot less trouble too, when the patient is choosing what they want to do. And so when I point things out and I say, how do you feel about that? I want that. Your case acceptance goes up quite a bit. And so the more you can get the patient involved in the decision-making process, I think it's a win-win for both the practice and the patient. So, and I will say, philosophy of care, I have very much a lifestyle practice. I work 7 to 2. And I have crafted that over the years, and that was out of almost necessity of me working that 8 to 5 and becoming a young mom and realizing that I wasn't always juggling. You're juggling and you're throwing balls in the air. Which balls are you going to keep up in the air, right? And so at some point I had to say, and Steve and I sat down, my husband, who's also a dentist, and said, okay, what do we need to change? And that 7 to 2 schedule worked out really well for me. So when I go into work, I work really hard. We don't take a lunch break. But I've also crafted a lifestyle practice for the rest of the team members in my office that they get off at 2, they get to go and spend time with their families. They often can have time to go run an errand before they pick up kids. And just they've created and crafted a little bit extra time for themselves to be young mothers. And I can't believe how many, team members over the years that have called me and said, I can't believe how much of my life I was missing. And I would never go back. And I love to say that I'm this amazing employee, but I also realize that a lot of times the hours are probably what has kept my retention up so high with my team members is because they really enjoy the hours. And so that has been one of the cultures that we've kept strong in our practice. So, and it's
Awesome.
been a great thing to see.
Huh. I love it because when, the poll is done across America, that's like, what are the happiest, most successful professions in this world? Dentistry is always towards the top. And I think it's because of stuff like that. You get to craft the way that you want it. If you're smart, you can say, this is how we want to build our culture. This is how we want to build our practice. So very cool that you've crafted it that way. That's awesome.
Yes.
Very fun. Gregor, any follow-up questions there? Any thoughts?
I would just say, first of all, I'm a big fan. I mean, you guys have been a shining light for many years. If you were to pick, aside from the hours, which I think is a great thing, but if you were to pick one thing in your practice that you would suggest to others is worth replicating, whether it's culture or whether it's a thing, what is the one pearl that you would pass along that you think is worth others replicating? What's the genius that I could copy if I were a dentist?
So I will copy something from Crown Council that has made a huge interest. That has made a huge impact in our practice. And I would say that I was fairly skeptical at the beginning because my husband was the one who started this, and I won't take credit for that. So, but he has done it and done it well. And so a lot of what Crown Council feeds us as dentists and team members is the power of positivity and like life skills, right? So there have been so many different things in my life, from the speakers that you've had, from skills of the week and different meetings that have actually personally changed me as a person and made me a better person, that a lot of times we take those same things and we use them in our team meetings. So every other team meeting that I have been to in other offices, because I have had other positions over the years before we started our practices, was that the team meetings were a drag. Like, right? Everybody came upset with their problems. And it was basically everyone just kind of hashing out who was doing the worst job or what was going wrong in the offices. And I would say that our team meetings are purposeful, effective. However, a lot of our focus is based on actually some of the similar things that you guys do with building people and teaching them how to be better people. And that translates not into just better team members, but better people at home. And so I've had team member after team member come to me and said, thank you so much for that positivity today. That really helps me. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to apply that at work and at home. And that is really cool when you get traction on that, right? It starts slow at the beginning, but once you start actually getting big traction on that, you realize that you are making an impact in people's lives. And I realized that a couple months ago, we put an ad out, and I had 4 people that had previously left reapply for the position. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. 4 people that had left for various reasons, reapplied because obviously they saw something was special in our office and wanted back in. So it was a compliment and a weird scenario, but I do think that when you pour into people, they appreciate it so much more than what you could ever imagine.
Thank you. And I do agree that, we spend as much time, if not more time, with the people we work with than we do the people we live with. And if it's unhappy and the culture is unhappy and you got to go do that every day.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Nope, you got to suffer through it. That's it. You got to. Kelly, when you look at, the fact you're opening a 4th practice, you're doing something right. Okay. So things are going in the right direction. Can you talk about the process of building building these businesses? What's worked, challenges, what are you most proud of? I know that's a lot of questions, but when you're looking at the business portion of building these practices, what do you feel like, oh, this is what we're doing that is really helping us grow and work? Because there are practices that are like, well, one practice is hard. You guys are like expanding into multiple. So can you talk about that for a minute?
Oh, absolutely. That might be another podcast too, but we can certainly unpack some of those things. Absolutely. So, I think when you start a practice and you realize that you're fairly self-limiting on yourself, right? At the end of the day, there's only so many things that you can do. And you have to train, hire, and try to find people with like-minded culture to help you grow. Because I laugh and say I'm an only child. I found out very quickly how self-limiting I could be to myself, right? And so you have to learn how to lead, to inspire, to forgive when they make mistakes, and to realize that every person you hire or train as part of your office is going to have positives and negatives to them, and how you play to their positives more than their negatives. And so I think that has been a wonderful aspect that we have challenges over the year, try to really lean into the people that are on our team and play for what they're really good at and put them in the right position, because you have to have the right person in the right seat right person in the right seat and the capacity to do it, to really perform well to the capacity of the job. And so there's lots of changes, and I even think my leadership skills have changed over the years. And I think leading as a female is quite a bit different than leading as a male, because sometimes they tell me different things. Or I love my team, and there's so many of them that could be my best friends, but at the end of the day, I'm their boss. And so I don't always get that benefit of being their best friend when they can all go out to lunch and go hang out. And I'm happy for them. I want them to go do that. But I have to kind of, for me, draw a little line in the sand of saying, okay, I'm your friend. I'll be there for you. I also have to hold you accountable to your job responsibilities. And I think they know and understand and respect that. And so, but sometimes it's a little lonely when you're the only girl in the office that's the boss. Similar to an office manager role. I think they go through the similar emotions and everything. So, challenges, oh my goodness, there's so many. And so it just takes time and forgiveness. I've learned over the years to be a lot more forgiving to myself, to the balls that I do drop, and keep looking up to the ones that I do hold in the air, because of course everyone makes mistakes. It's just I don't try to dwell on them for too long. I learn from it and move on, and try to mitigate the damage as much as possible.
Man,
that's a great gift.
Yeah, great advice. Great.
And great gift.
I constantly and am saying to Crown Council doctors that becoming a leader in the practice is very rare. I say it's absolutely rare, that it is like you have to learn, you have to develop it, you have to learn the skills of leading the team. And I love that philosophy that you are making mistakes, and that's okay. We're getting better and do it better next time. So very cool. Mm-hmm. I know that last time, Dr. Dove, you talked about the 4 M's. Is that something that you still believe in? Your muscle, mind, meaning, and money. Do you want to talk about that for a minute, or do you want to?
I do.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. I mean, that I think is just a foundation of how I practice and how I view my life. And so it translates into, again, home life and work life. And my lifestyle practice of working that 7 to 2 in those hours and working really hard, even the like little things like we collect prepayments for patients to reserve appointments, like all of those things build up that lifestyle practice so that we can function and be as productive and efficient in the time that we have, right? And so that's more, the mind muscle meaning matter. It's great. And I've carved out a time in the day that I work out and I take care of myself. That's a non-negotiable in my life. Because I realized when I was working so many hours and so long, just to basically to prove myself that I could do it, right? Is that I didn't want to wait 10, 20 years later and realize I hadn't taken care of myself, like myself. And so that's something for me to do this longer. I have to take care of myself. And the money, no one really wants to ever talk about the money portion, right? Because that can be a little awkward, but I feel like I'm a steward of the money that's given to me for the office. And when I go to the holiday party every year and everything, I look out and I think, wow, I provided for all of these families because I was responsible with the funds that were provided to me. And that is a reminder every year that I go. And this is kind of a side note, but a few years ago, I was really upset. I was having a hard time because we'd given out holiday, because this is coming up, giving out holiday bonuses, and I didn't get a single thank you. That hurt my feelings, right? And so I thought, you know what, though, that's not why I gave it out. I gave it out because I wanted to give it out, and I wasn't expecting anything in return. And so I had to reshift my focus from the bitterness to being much more positive and saying, I was able to give that, and I didn't expect any returns. And I'm very happy because I know so many of them were able to go and have a better Christmas or holiday with their families because of those funds. And so I try to focus on those pearls with the money. As I'm a stewardess, I need to manage it well. Even when we go to hire people, the verbiage of when we hire is we say, hey, at the end of the day, we have to take care of the practice, and you have to take care of your family. So at what rate are you comfortable taking care of your family? And then I have to decide which rate I'm comfortable taking care of my practice. And sometimes those two collide and sometimes they don't. And it doesn't mean that we aren't a good fit together. It just means that not maybe right now it works for us together. And so I think that is it kind of helps soften those conversations, and you get an honest answer from a lot of team members. Because they do have to take care of their family, and we have to take care of the business. And it takes the me versus you portion out of it, and it puts you back on the same team. Of if they're going to be on the team, they have to take care of the practice as well. Yeah. So we start off on a good path together. So those things are just all parts of the 4 M's, I think, that really do, at the end of the day, create your office culture, create the value in what you do and why you want to do it, and continue doing it for a long time. So, and hopefully, we're making an impact in our team members' lives and our patients' lives too.
With that philosophy, that is so, your incredible leadership. I love that philosophy of care. So good, Dr. Dove. Very good. Gregory, any thoughts there? I've got just 2 more questions if you don't have anything.
I was just thinking when you're talking about the holiday bonus thing. The thing we espouse is people repeat what's rewarded.
Yes.
And so if they want one next year, maybe they should have said how much they appreciated last year.
Yeah.
But I understand, and what a great mindset that they helped make it. They helped make it happen, and you were freely giving it without anticipation that you would be thanked. That's a very healthy attitude. A hard one. It's a very hard attitude.
It was, yes. Yes, it was a hard one. However, I felt like I grew as a person in that, and it helps every year be like, this is a gift that I'm able to do this. So
yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
No, go ahead, Stu. If you got 2 more.
No, I'm sure you don't feel that far removed. Well, maybe you do, from student life, just graduating, just starting the practice. But if you were to look back, if you could time travel back to early Kelly, she's just finishing up dental school. Are there things that you would do different? Is there advice that you would give to your young self just starting in the dental world?
So we have several associates. I think we have 4 wonderful doctors that work for us, and I'm very proud of them. And I would say that I've learned from not only myself, but I've learned from them and coaching them in the offices. And so I would say one thing that I have noticed is when you get out of school, oftentimes you will end up practicing the way you start practicing. So I would be protective of those first couple of years in the way you learn and practice. And so I don't think there's a right or wrong to that, but I would say if you think about all the different ways that you can practice, some of them are a little easier and some of them take more skill than others. And so if you go the easier route, oftentimes you might have to put more of the work in later to translate to a harder or different lifestyle practice. And so it doesn't mean that it can't be done. It's just you're going to have to break a lot of habits. And so, and that's true for a lot of things in our life, right? If you start off with bad habits, oftentimes it's harder to break those habits. And so I would be protective of those first few years and make sure that the quality you're doing and you're learning how to talk to patients and build up team members, those are all things that are very important skill sets to learn. And then the other thing, I wish as a profession, we could get rid of the word failure. And I love the Crown Council Skill of the Week where you guys talk about all the words that you don't say in the practice. And I would say one of my personal words that I don't say is the word failure, because I think the word failure kept me from placing implants for way too long, because I love placing implants and I love surgeries. But there was something about the word failure that made me more hesitant to even want to participate in it. And it created a lot of undue stress from the beginning of learning how to place this. And so I would just tell students to eliminate that, just say a non-integrated, and don't look at your career as you've failed or this procedure was failed. Don't do the same thing twice, right? Like that's just, not common sense. If something broke or something didn't work out, try to figure out why and troubleshoot. And then try to avoid saying, this failed, or my worth is associated with the dentistry that didn't quite work out, because dentistry is hard. And I think the hardest thing that we do on a daily basis is figuring out when something doesn't go as well as you thought it was going to go, how to recover from that. And so don't beat yourself up. And I think that's what I would say. Learn from mentors. Ask questions. Don't do the same thing twice, because that's just insanity. There's a reason it broke the first time. And don't call it a failure. Those would be some things that I think would be helpful to me. Yeah.
I love it. Great advice. And I forgot to thank you, Kelly, for joining. When you talked about your schedule 7 to 2, I had in my mind, I'm sure that joining us today was not easy, especially, it's a busy day. So thank you. I'm very grateful. Okay. Thank you for being with us. Thank you.
Happy
the last
to be
thing
here.
Yes. Okay. Crown Council, obviously we focus on culture. It's a thing that we feel you have to build, you have to work on the practice. When you look at your culture, when you look at the things that make you successful, are there a few things that are essential to making the practice culture that you run work? When you look at building your culture as a leader and as a business owner, what do you do to build your culture?
Absolutely. So a few things, and some of them we've already kind of touched on. So I would say our team meetings. So we have really good huddles, and I just got back from our mastermind retreat, which was wonderful. And one of the things Marcy Swartzman had mentioned in there was that we talk about huddles, morning huddles. And I thought her verbiage was really good. So I'm going to repeat that. And it was the purpose of the huddle is going to be to give thanks for yesterday, to optimize today, and then to prepare for tomorrow. And I thought, oh, that's fantastic. And so what we did is we went back and we showed them the gratitude section and happiness section in our team meeting. And then I reminded them, because our huddles had kind of some bad juju going on. And I thought, we got to get this out of here. And so our blessings, they were all giving personal blessings. So we focused on, again, telling your teammates what you appreciated that they did for them yesterday. And then we focused on today and prioritized tomorrow. So I would say the huddle was a huge part. we have biweekly team meetings, and then we have quarterly all staff meetings. And I love those all staff meetings. They're happy. They're like pump you up meetings. Hopefully they get a lot of value. So I would say our meetings are definitely one thing that's really good. We believe in really strong systems, and systems aren't quite as fun to talk about as culture, but I think people need to know their job responsibilities, where they're held accountable, and they need to know how to do their job, right? So they need to have a safe area that they can ask questions to and give feedback. And I think that we have created over the years some really strong systems and cross training to help with those, so that people know at the end of the day that they did a good job. I think that's important to people, as they go home and they knew that they did their job well, because most people want to do their job well. So, and, you know, I hope that every team member, you know, culturally wise, I think it's important every now and then you need to stick up for your team member. If you've got an ornery patient that's not behaving well, and they're treating your team member not so well, I think sometimes the team needs to know that you aren't going to put up with that. And so I don't know why, but every now, maybe once a year, I have to have that conversation with the patient. And it always seems to resonate very well with the team, that at the end of the day, they are my family, and I love my patients. Don't get me wrong with that. I love them, but it's kind of like a relationship where, you know, Steve comes first in our family and the kids come second, because without Steve and I, the kids get the short end of the staff. And that's kind of how I feel with the office is my team has to come first if the children misbehave, because if the team isn't there, the children's lives gets a lot worse. And so that's something that I think I have undervalued in the past. And when I actually have kind of put my big girl pants on and just done it, I realize how much of an impact it gives the team members, that they say, oh, wow, she really cares, and we come first. And you get them to rally behind you after that.
Nice. I love it. Maybe you should stage more of those. Ask patients to come in on.
I don't. No. It can be a very rare, like, unicorn experience.
Nice.
You know, every now and then it happens, and I think it happens to all of us, and we might as well talk about it because it does, right?
Right. Kelly, you are, I'm so great. I know that I've reached out to you many times. I mean, we did the Mentor of the Month. I reached out to you here, and there's a reason. I think that you're an incredible leader, great example. I just love the way your philosophy and your leadership and your team. So thank you for joining today and sharing. I'm excited to share. I know there's some that are joining live. I'm excited to share the recording with the rest of the group. Anything else? Is there anything we missed that you want to share before we say goodbye?
Oh, no, this was so much fun. Anytime you guys want to chat, I love this sort of stuff. So thank you for the opportunity.
You're awesome.
Yeah, grateful for you. Thanks, Kelly. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Hey, bye-bye. Man, what a leader. Holy moly. That is so good.
There is a lot to unpack there.
Yes, I feel. She's like, oh, we might need to do another podcast live stream on the 4M. I'm like, oh, man, I agree. Very good. Hey, so before we wrap up, really fun, something new, something different. And Greg and I want to share this quickly, succinctly, because I know that Jackson Hadley will watch this, and this is a great spot for us to say, this is something new for Crown Council members. Let's make this video available to everybody. We're going to edit this down so you can see. You are looking at my screen. And we go to my directory. If you go to crowncouncil.com, you log in and you go to your directory, you will see a new product. So that's what we call this, as a product. And it is called New Team Member Training. And if you click on this, over the years, as you can imagine as you're watching this, team members come and go. And as a new team member arrives, a lot of the times, we have heard over the years that Crown Council doctors have a difficult time, a challenging time, helping them understand the culture, helping them understand what's going on in the practice, getting them up to speed on systems and philosophies and culture. So we've gone out and we have taken 12 of our skill of the weeks, the things that we feel are a great jumpstart, a great introduction to a new team member, and we've put them in this fun, we call it a gamification of training, where when you watch a video, See, you can see here, I've watched video 1 of 7, say no to the problem. I get a little check mark when I watch it, and a little badge arrives. So I've done the first 4, and I have 8 left. And your team members can do the same thing. The instructions are very simple. Follow the 12 skills about how to be something or how to do something. You'll see them. So here's the do skills and the be skills. So how to be a certain way, to be a certain person, and then how to do a certain thing. We've introduced this to some of the Crown Council, and the members that have seen it have said, well, I'm going to just share this with everybody. Like, why do I have to just do this with new team members? But we encourage you to do this. We want you to all do the new team member training, collect your badges, and get everybody on your team jump started into the way that you run your culture and the way that Crown Council can help train that culture by design rather than default. Gregor, what did I miss when it comes to, I know you had a big hand in creating this. What did I miss?
Three things. First, of all of the phone calls I take, the most common phone call I receive is, where do I send a new team member to get them immersed into what everything we've taught in the practice, and they need to get up to speed. That is why we did this, is we wanted everybody to have a tool that they could send their new team members to get them jump started. Second thing is, we have created a certificate at the end of this, so that when the team member, you can have them do this before they even start at the practice. It generates a certificate that they can either hang on the wall, but they could even bring to the doctor and say, I have finished these 12 do skills and be skills. And we also provide an hour's worth of CE. Take you about 45 minutes to go through all of these skills, but at the end, they have an hour's worth of CE that they can get. So it's fun. You get rewarded. You get rewarded after you watch each one, and there is some accountability on the back end.
Nice. Well, it's a good jumpstart for us too in creating possibly the future of Crown Council online training. We know that this group, because they're highly motivated, also is highly motivated by competition. And it's something that we might be adding here to the Crown Council website in the future, which is which practice, which doctor, which team member is logging on the most, watching the most activity. And we want to reward, because we can see on the back end who is watching what and who is participating where. And so we might bring this up with our very highly motivated Crown Council teams to be the #1 trained team or the #1 trained office in the Crown Council. So this is a good start. This is a great way to show as a team that you are doing it and finishing the training when it comes your way. So excited. We're excited for it. Yep.
Thank you, Stu.
All right. I'm going to stop sharing. That's it for this week. So grateful for our guests. The time went so fast. I think we were with Kelly for over 30 minutes. So
sped by.
Yeah, really fun. Thanks everybody for joining us this week, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.
Thank you.